Next, we have the ITC presentation. Let me just grab all the names because many people coming on. So we have Stefan Grandinetti from the BVK. We have Dirk Meyer from the BVK CSI, and full member also of TBC, Alexei Berkovic from the RGC, the Philip Ross from the AFC, David Stump from the ASC, and Daniel Siragusano from Filmlight. ITC, you have the floor. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and I'm very happy to participate in this presentation with all the friends. Unfortunately, Dave Stump won't be there because he's working in Miami and it's 4 a.m. At this time. And thank you for nice words from the IEC, from Ella and Philippe Corday. I will start first by presenting the three co-chairs, Alexei Berkovic from Russia, me from France, and David Stump from ASC. Unfortunately, we lose Alfonso Parra was no time to participate in the co-chairing, but we want in the future having more co-chairs from the other continents. So we will need from Asia, from South America, and from Africa, and we hope having them very soon. So basically, for people who don't know IMAGO TC, there is several full members. And we have a lot of corporate members, and we are working on having more. And we have invited a lot of different new manufacturers. So we have different councils. We have the pleasure to have a new member for the Preservation Council with Tanaka from Brazil. So we are working a lot also on the Image Processing Council with Daniel Siragusano that you will hear later. So basically, we have a lot of different countries represented by through national associations. I won't say that they are always here during the meeting, but there is a kind of mix of different culture and different feelings, which is very interesting for the IMAGO Technical Committee. So basically, we have a lot of discussions in terms of sharing information, and it's very important for us to receive different cultures, and we need more members from different countries because it's important not to be focusing on one continent. And the exchange between North America, South America, Asia, and Europe are very, very important for us. So we are supporting not only cinematographers, but also filmmakers. And what we want to have is a key problem for us is to have control on our tours. So now I want to give the word to Mr. Alexei. Alexei, please enjoy.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute the microphone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexei Berkovic. I'm living in Germany and representing RGC. I'm co-chairman of the IMAGO Technical Committee. And I would say that, first of all, we are very happy with our recent members. And I want to make compliments to Stefan Grandinetti, who is a member of Education Committee, very active and very important member, and as well member of Technical Committee, and he is also very active and important for us. And I think it's a fantastic example that those tasks, like members of several committees, could be very successful and very important for interchange of information. And so we have our goals, and we have pretty active contacts with Amazon, Apple TV, Disney, Netflix. We are doing everything possible to keep an eye on new technologies. Next slide, please. And during the pandemic lockdown, we start a new level of activity, which we trying to keep on the same height afterwards. It's getting more difficult, and then during the pandemic, we found that glossary, and at the beginning it was list of terms, is extremely important because different countries, new terms and even all terms are quite far away from perfection. And we decide to start this project. Next slide, please. And well, very impressive groups. And while taking care about the glossary, we found that we really need more participants, and not only cinematographers, but people from scientific world and other professions. And we're very happy of our full members like Daniele Serguzana and Dirk Meyer, of course. And you will hear today the statements of them. Next slide, please. And Charles Poynton, of course, the color scientist from Canada, who was introduced by David Stamp to us, is a part of heart and soul of our discussions of the glossary. And he usually we're making presentation of a pixel, which is a very clear, very nice explanation, which not just defining the term itself, but opening the topic of many different subjects. And this is a very good example of this process. Next slide, please. And here is the photon pass diagram, which I would love to introduce Daniele Serguzana and give word to him.
So let's see if we get the image onto the monitor. If someone could, yeah, perfect. Thank you. That's freestyle here. We didn't practice that, and it works good. So, what we did is we started with the glossary during the lockdown, and we had like lots of interesting discussions. But we were seeing that even within this technical committee, sometimes when we were like in this debate of definitions, we were at different points in the workflow. Some was thinking we were here, other was thinking we were there, and then we started to very natively to draw out a kind of a path through the process, and following an educational idea from also a professor from HDM University, Jan Fröhlich, we basically took the photon that is emitted on set, and we are following that photon through the set and then through the camera and through the post-production process all the way to the final display and the final eye of the observer. And we have the on-set pass here. What are you looking on set? And this also explains sometimes why when you go into post-production, if the post-production and live on-set is not synchronized, you might see something else. And the good thing that that gives you a clear kind of process through the through what's going on. And the beauty about this, because we had like so many also corporate members and from camera manufacturers and post-production tools and live grading tools, that is kind of an agreed overview. And that was, I think, this is the most valuable part, getting every camera manufacturer together and saying like, this is pretty much what we are doing in the camera. Of course, if we zoom into every box, what you can do is, if I go like here and I double click, I will get here on the left side the explanation of that. A very at the moment it's not every box has a full life, but really the idea is that we can package the information in context to the process, and so that you can see exactly what's going on with your signal. And if you then go, let's say, full to legal scaling, then you can go to signal ranges, and you can basically explore the different aspects of that. So we wanted to use this as an encoding. That is not the final form here, what you're seeing, but it's kind of an interim so that we can collaborate and work on. Also, the glossary which we worked on is also embedded here. So you have a search field here, and if you type, for example, you want to know something about dynamic range, whatever that is, then you get a more like a longer text about that. And by far, this is not finished yet. It's more like a skeleton for future work, but we think it's a good way to structure that. Yeah, all of that website here is hosted on the IMAGO website, and also we have the source code for that on GitHub. So it is an IMAGO ITC GitHub repository where you can actually look at all of the core definitions, and in theory, and I hope in practice, we can also collaborate via GitHub in an open source manner so that people can do pull requests and say like, okay, I want to modify this. Here's my suggestion. We can meet, we can discuss this, and it becomes a living open source kind of thing. Yeah, and of course, each and every box, if you zoom in, we could make another 10-hour talk about that. And today at I think at 12, I will talk a little bit about that box. Just about that box, but you can see that the overall process is quite complex. We also try to establish terms like scene referred and display referred. At which stage does the signal change? And also we use color to encode creative processes where we believe a cinematographer can engage creatively, because not every box is something you should turn and change, because many of them are just technical processes which have technical requirements, but there are also some creative ones which we try to mark with a different color here. If you want to look at both websites, you can make a photo with your telephone, and then go to either to the web app, and it's you will see some of those boxes have not really a text in there, but just to explore that, you can do this here. Okay, that's from my side. Everybody made a picture.
I just want to add a couple of words saying that the list of terms is extremely important for international productions, and we will take care at a certain stage to translate carefully all the terms which is developed and polished by ITC into all languages of all membering associations. And of course, this is also a call for all national associations to participate, to send representatives to ITC, to take care and to spread this information. And regarding the photon pass, we're also developing it further. And one of the steps will be described by Stefan Grandinetti. Just recently, there was a beginning of a process of a new level of visualization to make an app and to make a very handy tools, which will be kind of pocket professional guide, maybe, but not as a book, as American cinematographer was publishing their books, but it will be app in the mobile phone. And also quite important that we are working now on the process of creating a second layer, which is a creative layer, and then those layers will be synchronized by the time according events, and it shows when and where important creative decisions has to be made and how those will impact technical flow, which is also quite important development, useful not only for the production but for education as well, and just for the general knowledge. Thank you.
Stefan Grandinetti, please.
Hello, yes, my name is Stefan Grandinetti. It's nice to be here. I'm from BVK in Germany. Thank you for listening. Can you see my slide? I'm not sure about that.
Yes, we see.
Okay, perfect. I think the photon path is such a great idea that I was very happy to host it and find some people in HDM Stuttgart, where I am located and I'm teaching. Whoops. Here we go. So I could find some people and get them interested to our project. And this is a group of students with a Professor Simon Wiest. They're working interactive and they just start to build the app and to collaborate with the ITC with us to make this happen and to bring this to real life. And it just started because the ITC made a presentation on the Visual Media Lab conference where I would like to give you some insights right now. This happened just now, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, in beginning of March in Stuttgart, where I work, and I did this conference as a follow-up from the International Cinematography Days I founded some years ago, and then I had to postpone and paused for 5 years, and now we could go on, especially me with two colleagues of mine, Jan Fröhlich and Jan Adamczyk. They are engineer and visual effects supervisor, and we designed then 3 days with various groups and bringing together and speaking about the imaging of the future. So it was about science and aesthetics, technologies, and networking. That means bringing our knowledge to many people from the industry and to students. And that's why we said, okay, let's talk about the technologies of tomorrow's moving images with the focus on high dynamic range in broadcasting and virtual production for now. So on this edition. So it's meant to be a global event with international speakers and visitors from the industry, from universities, and from the federations we want to collaborate with and share all these things. So we try to combine comprehensive topics and networks in one conference. And this is, as I already said, coming from one day from broadcasting and streaming, and the network bringing together then from SMPTE, SMT, and the German Society of this, the FKTG, and the topic virtual production with a visual effects society, which is working global as well, as you all know, and virtual cinematography now related to BVK and IMAGO from my side. And last but not least, researching cinematography, which is quite new for us. And we are now working on the methodologies, how to do this actually in an academic way. But we think this is a new path that we should head for. And there the network or the presentation is by Cito, what Ella already told you. And explained already. So I give you a little bit small insights from the days. This is from the first day, which has the headline Science and Technology. And there were speakers like here on the left side, you see Ingmar Rieger. He is a image scientist working at ARRI. He's an alumnus from HDM. And on the right side is, for instance, Frank Heineberg from a German TV channel. He is responsible for standards and innovations at RTL. And highlight of the day was the launch, the opening of a SMPTE student chapter in Germany, which is new, together with 2 partner universities in Germany. Jan Fröhlich, my colleague, initialized this, and we had a party with students, and now the work can go on, sharing knowledge more and better internationally, which is there. And on the second day, virtual production, we had insights to expert or presentations from experts. Like here, you can see Ilfi Kirscher from Plaza Media, virtual production for film, commercial broadcasting in a green production context. And this was presented by my colleague Jan Adamczyk. And other experts like Mark Dowd from Pixelmondo, recipe for good in-camera visual effects, which is very interesting for us from cinematography. And we had, for instance, case studies like from the Netflix series 1899, which was shot in Germany. And we had a lot of presentation and discussion with that. And then on the third day, which is my former International Cinematography Day, now we had the subject virtual cinematography and the question, so how do we do this? How do we approach? And from my side, there was I wanted to emphasize the problems, the challenges, and the know-how that we need on LED lighting, and of course the LED volumes. And this was the first half of the day. And there we had presentations like from Dirk Meyer. He will talk about this metamerism and metameric failure in a moment. And like from Philipp Ross, showing tests in his presentation, LEDs and numbers, tests that were done by the Conference of Light, or from myself at HDM about skin tones and the subject in a whole. And then David Stump talking about real-time visual effects using LED volumes in motion picture productions, and Daniele Siracusano, who you have in the room right now, about color matching in virtual production. So it was quite special presentations about the subjects. And this was rounded up by lighting with LED walls in virtual production volumes, which is another problem sometimes, presented by Julia Leber, who spoke about her thesis that she wrote at HDM together with Ari. So we try to link these things. And then we had a wonderful presentation by Sunny Bihar from HBO with this wonderful, great camera assessment series, the latest version, which I saw already in camera image. And we had this in Stuttgart, which was very nice. And this was then came all together with the presentation of the photons path and glossary, and made it possible that we could get the energy to students. They were really happy and fascinated to see the ideas and the persons behind it. And I saw it's very important that we present these things and talk about it. And the whole conference then was ended by a BVK Cine Talk with DPs like Dave Stunt and Joost Vacano and younger DPs who had experience in virtual production. And of course, there was a lot of time for poster sessions and networking parties. We had on the fourth day the meeting from Saito that Ella already mentioned, and we had time to discuss there and going more deeper into methodology and researching. Yeah, in the end, so we can say we had 100 to 150 visitors per day. We sold more than 300 tickets with free admission for students, and professionals paid 100 euros a day or got a 60% discount. That means $40 a day or 100 for all 3 days. And especially for our partners like SMPTE, Visual Effects Society, BVK, IMAGO, CITO, and the local film workers from Stuttgart area. And we will provide all videos and slides of all presentations of all days for our partners for free. And the next Visual Media Lab conference will take place in 2 years. We want to do exactly this concept again, all 2 years in the future. And you can see all this in our website where you can follow the full program. I put the link into the chat, and there you can see, hopefully, how's this now? How do I do this? Well, it's not moving here. I can't touch my...
Okay. It's on the website. It's
on the website. Okay. There you can see the whole structure, the full program, and the speakers we have. Okay. Thank you for now.
Thank you now for inviting Dirk Meyer from BVK, colorist.
Yes, hello, good morning. Stefan, I actually met a student, a former alumni, yesterday in the grading suite where I was working in Germany, which is a nice kind of round trip 2 weeks after this great conference that I really enjoyed also participating for 2 days, to then get feedback again from someone who participated, who was a former alumni from your school. Just very briefly, I think I was asked to give a little bit of a bit of the presentation that I did, which was called metamerism and metameric failure. I know this pronunciation is quite a challenge. The idea that I wanted to convey basically is this statement that you really have to understand light spectrally, you as a cinematographer, but you will always look at it trichromatic because humans are trichromatic or have trichromatic vision. We use only 3 receptors where you can hear briefly or vaguely see the sensitivity curves. But this graph on the left, taken from actual measurement of a Berlin overcast sky, that is plotting the whole spectrum. So I have a trial to show you a little bit of the conference recording. Unfortunately, some of the main interesting aspects are slightly clipped in camera. But the setup was that we had two cameras down there, two lighting fixtures, a tungsten on the right, basically hitting the screen, this whiteboard on the right side, and then next to it a orbiter from RA, which is an LED fixture. And those were visually matched. So we had a great color scientist and colorist in the audience who made a pretty good job in actually visually matching it. And we kind of proved that by also measuring it in terms of color temperature, and we only had like 16 Kelvin of a difference. But the interesting, I'll try to find a little bit, here. I brought in an orange bell pepper that dramatically changed colors from one light source to the other light source. You can see that a little bit here, but since it was there, it's much more reddish. Then on the other side, it is much more orangey. But I had done a similar presentation at Camera Image a few years ago, and for that I did a test, and that was captured with my phone. So I believe that is a little bit better in terms of seeing what actually happens if you look at the orange t-shirt in the middle. Here, this gets pretty reddish. I hope you can see that through zoom compression and everything. And the main difference in this case, we had on the left side a sky panel that was tuned to the preset, and on the right side we had one that was on purpose with the fourth LED, which is called Amber LED, turned off. And when you see the spectrum here, then it becomes very clear why you have very strange changes in color when you bring in colored objects to something that looks seemingly white. The whole setup there was on a stage, on the screen in the background of the cinema. You could see that those colors were pretty much identical white, but those t-shirt colors here, they were really originally the same if you have them on the same side, but very dramatic under this different lighting situations. That was the whole point. My idea was to start this day at HDM with a rather practical demonstration to lead into the topic that would follow all through many presentations with virtual LED walls, because there you basically have a spectrum that looks very much like on the right side, where you have very narrow band LEDs from the LED walls, which are basically giant TVs, that then illuminate your actors and everything in front of it. And there were great presentations following that also talked about this. And that was it. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, so final slides. So cinematography these days, we see that there is a lot of difference between the last 10 decades. So we think it's very important to be involved in all these challenges and demands and tools. And our philosophy is that if we don't control tools, tools will control us. And it's not necessary to be a techie guy, because you can be surrounded by fantastic person, but it's important to have opinions from cinematographer, even if they are not deeply involved in technology. So once again, it's learning. And the role of all IMAGO committees in training and sharing knowledge and opinions is prominent. And we want really to establish more contact with all the committees. And we're making this joint announcement for Filmlight, because it's a great partner, and we really appreciate having Daniel and Diminus. And finally, this is all the summary of projects. So thank you very much. We're waiting for you to join the ITC, and thank you for this invitation, and my best to Luciano Tovoli. Bye-bye.